What is going on, fellow alchemists? Welcome to Quasi Astrology. I hope this video finds you in good health. This video is basically all about the lunar nodes. I've been getting a lot of questions about it, so I decided I'll do a video on it. So, that being said, I hope you do enjoy it, and I hope somewhere, somehow, there is some sense in it. And let's get straight into it. Take a moment and close your eyes. Once closed, pose a question in your mind. Now, without saying it out aloud, ask yourself, if I haven't said anything verbally, nor heard it externally, how is it then possible I heard myself say it? So despite all the explanations, theories and ideas around the function and nature of consciousness, not much is said about the etheric mechanisms of renewal which allow it to operate. Almost as if a smoky cloud dissipates any logical outlet of information and shrouds it in confusion and illusion, making defining or pinpointing exact aspects of its function hard and impenetrable, but acting through paradoxes which make it fluid and mutable. So I think by now, the idea that consciousness permeates throughout the universal fabric and isn't as rare as previously believed is more accepted. However, how one defines consciousness and its mode of operation is still wide open for debate. Brahman is a Vedic Sanskrit word which is conceptualized as a created particle which is realized everywhere. The Vedas conceptualize Brahman as the cosmic particle, and it is the extraction of this particle which the alchemist seeks in their great opus. Regardless of this, the state of consciousness isn't the point of this video. This video is about addressing ideas postulated through astrology, especially the more esoteric aspects of it, as to how consciousness is inseminated into our physical reality, and how it is disseminated too. The lunar nodes form up as mathematical orbital points in the natal birth chart, where the moon intersects the ecliptic. In tropical astrology, they are referred to as the north and its opposite, the south node, but in Vedic astrology, they go by the name Rahu and Ketu. In traditional astrology, these nodes can signal the karmic path and help towards reaching one's spiritual path. Now, according to the Vedas, Rahu and Ketu used to be unified instead of separated, and were called Svabhanu, who was a demonic asura. So in the Vedas, it is said that Svabhanu snuck into a meeting of the gods, disguised as one of them, and partook in the drinking of the cosmic milk, which gave them immortality. However, he was recognized by the gods, who then severed his head from his body. However, he had drunk the cosmic milk and this made him immortal, hence he didn't perish, but instead lived on, with his head becoming Rahu or the north node and body becoming Ketu, the south node, both desperately trying to reunify themselves so they could be whole again. Rahu, or the north node, functions through the symbolism of the mind, but unlike Mercury, the purpose isn't based on being a conduit between the godhood behind reality and our physical reality, but rather Rahu acts as an anchor into our physical reality. In traditional astrology, Rahu symbolizes our obsessions. These obsessions broken down are simply the nature of the ego attempting to justify its existence in the lower physical plane. This is where the action of insemination becomes a part of the cosmic cycle, in which Rahu is said to pick up where the previous incarnation left off, as the placement of Rahu is karmic. Its placement in the chart signifies lessons not learned or denied in the chart holder's previous incarnation. However, one of the issues when trying to understand the operation of Rahu's action within the natal chart is that because Rahu must anchor itself into the physical, it works with the superficial fabric of Maya. This is why Rahu is said to be cloudy, as the Maya that Rahu is submerged in clouds the actual nature of Rahu's true intent. So the perceived function of Rahu in the natal chart tends to be further away from the actual true function of Rahu's actual objective. In occultism, Rahu's use of Maya as a physical solute to ground itself in can produce phenomena in our solid reality. This phenomena is simply the clouded veil, which seems to dilute the laws of our physical world. The reason for this is because Rahu uses but obscures the receptivity of the moon's influence, creating an almost impenetrable veil in front of the viewer.
Right on the box, okay, hold the box, lightly towards the bottom, right here, lightly. Just think of your card. Hold it looser, but don't let it fall to the ground. Just loose it, yeah. Just let go even more, just don't let it fall to the ground. Keep thinking. Okay, hold it on the side usually. Keep thinking, look, one card, look at the one card that's shooting them off, loose it.
So because Rahu works as an anchor for the ego in our solid sphere, Rahu seeks to mimic not only the Maya that surrounds it, but also the solar luminary that personifies it. This is depicted by Rahu consuming the sun, and why in Vedic astrology, whenever Rahu is conjunct the sun, an inauspicious Grahan Dosh is formed. This is why Rahu is symbolized as the head, because like the sun, which symbolizes our soul's reason for incarnation, but it must progenate its fields before reaping the harvest, Rahu seeks to do the same. As the true expression of this esoteric force seeks to break away from the addiction of Maya, just as the soul seeks to find spiritual emancipation or moksha. Ketu, the headless one, is the south node in tropical astrology, and in traditional astrology represents spirituality and relinquishing aspects of self, in particular the world one finds oneself in. In Vedic astrology, Ketu is seen as a world malefic, but spiritually very beneficent. In some sources, Ketu is seen as a second sun, as the node burns with the scorching heat. The south node acts as the solvent of Maya, as this is where the stomach lies as represented by the body. In a literal sense, one can think of the action of stomach acids, which cause chemical reactions with food which can generate intense heat. Ketu forms these esoteric chemical reactions with Maya and dissolves its effects. The south node is karmic, just like the north node, as it signifies an area of life we have mastered or learned the lessons of in our previous incarnations. However, it is also the marker of where the chart holder can find spiritual emancipation, as Ketu burns a hole through the fabric of illusion and shows the aspirant a glimpse of universal truth. But because Ketu burns so hot, when Ketu conjuncts the moon, a Chandra Grahan Dosh is formed, as the moon's lines of receptivity become volatile and uncouth. This is opposite to the cool, cloudy aspects of Rahu, which attempt to dampen the sun's influence. For this reason, as mentioned previously, Ketu is a worldly malefic, as Ketu doesn't allow the aspirant to enjoy the material success of life based on where Ketu is sitting in the natal chart. And through the frantic energy which Ketu cannot regulate because Ketu is after all headless, these material gains relating to Maya are dissolved under the searing heat of the south node. This isn't to say that one cannot gain material success under the strong influences of Ketu, but the likelihood of holding on to them is slim. This is where the south node's inclination towards spirituality eventually takes the aspirants with strong Ketu influences, as the disappointments and shortcomings of life force them into valuing true substance, the substance of the everlasting soul. So the north node acts as the anchor, bringing in the ego and focusing it on the nature of Maya, which provides time for the influences of Rahu to gravitate towards the body of Ketu, which dispels the falsehoods of superficiality, and then shows the ephemeral nature of all things in the physical. So put simply, Rahu is the insemination, and Ketu disseminates. This karmic cosmic dance is performed with the true purpose of tugging awake the true state of the sleeping alchemist, and melting away the frigid superficiality of Maya, with the searing spiritual heat of Ketu towards finding spiritual union with the vector equilibrium of the Atman.